There are 6 situations in this world where showing your emotions is the single most expensive mistake you can make. Every time you showed emotion in the wrong room, you handed someone a weapon they did not have before you walked in. You did not feel it happen. That is what made it expensive. The person who cannot control what they show cannot control what they lose. Think about the last time you were in a negotiation, a salary discussion, a contract, a deal where the other party held more power. Remember the moment they made an offer lower than you expected. You felt the heat rise in your chest. Your face tightened. You spoke a little faster, a little higher, a little more desperate. You watched their eyes change. They had just learned exactly how much they could push you. That split second of visible disappointment cost you thousands. You felt it happen. You could not stop it. And you have been replaying that moment ever since. Your face, your tone, your stillness, these are not expressions, they are weapons, and you have been leaving them on the table for anyone to pick up. Machiavelli spent decades inside the courts of Florence, where a single raised eyebrow could cost you your position and a visible tear could cost you your life. He was not studying power from a comfortable distance. He was inside the rooms where men were destroyed by the specific moment their face communicated what their mouth refused to say. He watched it happen repeatedly. He documented the pattern with the precision of a man who understood that his own survival depended on never becoming the subject of his own research. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few touch what you actually are." He meant that your emotions are not yours once they become visible. They belong to the person who saw them first, and that person will use them exactly when it serves them best. In this video, you are going to learn the 6 specific situations where showing emotion will destroy your leverage, cost you respect, and hand your enemies exactly what they need. 6 situations. Every man watching has already been in at least 4 of them, and in every one of them, the person watching your face learned something about you that you never chose to share. That knowledge is still being used. The question is whether you will walk into the next one the same way. Before we enter the first situation, understand the architecture of what you are dealing with. Every high-stakes interaction has an information economy. The person with more accurate information about the other party holds more power over the outcome. Most people try to gain information through questions, through research, through preparation. The most efficient way to extract information from another person requires none of that. It simply requires watching their face. Your preparation means nothing if your face announces your position before the conversation begins. Your research means nothing if your expression confirms their hypothesis in the first 30 seconds. The person across from you is not trying to outthink you, they are trying to outread you, and they will succeed every time your face runs ahead of your strategy. The man who cannot be read cannot be exploited. Not because he knows more, because he gives nothing to work with. Situation 1. During high-stakes negotiation. Every negotiation is an information war before it is a discussion. Your opponent is not trying to reach a fair agreement. They are trying to extract maximum value while surrendering minimum information. And the fastest, most reliable way they extract that information is not through questions. It is through watching what your face does when they present a number. Your excitement at an offer tells them they started too high. Your disappointment at a low offer tells them you are more desperate than you appeared. Your frustration at a rejected counter tells them exactly which point has the most pressure behind it. In any negotiation, the first person to show emotion has already lost, not because they said the wrong thing, but because their face said it before they could choose not to. You are sitting across from someone who controls something you need: a salary, a contract, a deal, an agreement that will affect the next 12 months of your professional life. They make an offer. It is lower than you expected, substantially lower. You feel the heat rise in your chest before your brain has processed the number. Your jaw tightens, your eyes narrow slightly, your voice pitches just a degree higher when you say, "That is not what I was expecting." You did not say anything aggressive. You did not lose your temper, but you leaked, and the person across from you just received a complete report on your position. They now know you expected more. They know you feel the gap as a loss rather than as a negotiating opening. They know your emotional baseline, and they know exactly how much lower they can push before you walk. That split second of visible disappointment cost you money. You will never be able to calculate, because you will never know what they would have offered if your face had given them nothing. This is called effective presence, the measurable, documented impact that your visible emotional expression has on the decision-making behavior of the people observing you. When you show disappointment, the other party perceives weakness and confirms that their low offer was appropriate. When you show excitement, they perceive that they left money on the table and recalibrate upward in their next encounter with you. The professional who maintains a neutral affect communicates that every number is simply information, not a verdict on their position. And here is the part you have been doing without knowing it. You have been rewarding low offers with visible reactions. You have been training the people who negotiate against you to come in lower because they have learned that your face confirms when they have found your flaw. You have been funding your own exploitation with your own expressions. The correction is precise. Before any negotiation, you set your range, the minimum you will accept, the optimal outcome you are targeting, and then you lock your face. You practice receiving numbers in silence. You learn to hear an insulting offer and feel nothing. You learn to hear a generous offer and show nothing. Your only response to any number is a slow nod, and I need to consider that. Not because you are indecisive, because you are refusing to file the report. The person who cannot be read cannot be exploited, and the person who cannot be exploited wins negotiations not by being louder, but by being still. What you just learned applies in the room where the stakes are declared. The next situation is more dangerous because the stakes are never announced. You are being tested, and you do not even know a test is being administered. The cost of this next situation is not money. It is something that once lost takes years to rebuild. Situation 2. When you are being provoked or tested. When someone provokes you, they are not trying to win an argument. They are trying to run a calibration. The provocation is not the attack. It is the measurement tool. Your anger tells them your trigger point. Your defensiveness tells them your insecurity. Your visible hurt tells them where you are weakest and exactly how light the touch needs to be to activate that weakness in any future interaction. The person provoking you is not emotional. They are clinical. They are watching your face the way a technician watches an instrument, waiting for the needle to move so they can record the reading. You are in a group setting, colleagues, friends, family. Someone makes a comment, a joke that lands slightly wrong, a question that implies you did not handle something well, a reference to a failure from long enough ago that bringing it up now was deliberate. You feel the room orient toward you. Every face in the group is in your peripheral vision. Your jaw tightens. Your voice carries a slight edge when you respond. Maybe you laugh it off, but the laugh is a degree too loud. Maybe you defend yourself, and the defense is a degree too urgent. The room learned something. The person who provoked you learned something more specific. They identified the exact category of comment that moves you. They noted how quickly you responded, which tells them how close to the surface that particular wound sits. They noted the specific tone you used, which tells them how much it cost you to control your reaction, which tells them how much worse it would be if they applied more pressure. They did not attack you. They took your measurements. This is called threshold calibration, the systematic process by which a potential aggressor tests small violations to determine the precise point at which you will react. They start light, a minor comment, a subtle implication, a barely visible smile at something you said. If you react, they have found the threshold. They now know that this specific lever produces this specific response. They will use it when it serves them. In the meeting where it costs you credibility, in the negotiation where it costs you leverage, in the relationship where it costs you authority. Every reaction you have produced to a provocation in your life has been a report you filed about yourself. The correction is brutal in its simplicity. When provoked, you do not react. Not with anger, not with defense, not with a nervous laugh that buys you a second to compose yourself. You look at the person who spoke. You hold their gaze for 1 second longer than comfortable. Then you turn to someone else and continue the conversation as if nothing was said. No response, no acknowledgement. The provocation dissolves into the silence of your indifference. The provoker is left holding the measurement tool with nothing measured. The room watches a man who cannot be moved, and the specific power that communicates to every person observing it is not aggression. It is the specific calm of someone who has already decided that the provocateur's assessment of him is irrelevant information. The provoker will be far more cautious the next time, not because they respect you more, because they cannot predict you. and an unpredictable target is not worth provoking. The first two situations are about active conflict, the negotiation table and the social test. Both of them have an element of declared friction. You know at some level that something is at stake. The next situation removes even that. You are accused, the verdict has been formed, and every word you speak in your own defense is a weapon you are handing to the person who wants to use it against you. This situation has ended careers. This situation has destroyed relationships that took years to build. Situation 3. When you have been wrongfully accused, your first instinct is your most expensive instinct. You want to explain, you want to correct the record, you want to produce the evidence that demonstrates the inaccuracy of the accusation. You believe that a clear, calm, thorough explanation will dissolve the accusation and restore your position. That belief is not just wrong, it is the exact response your accuser has been waiting for. When you explain yourself to someone who has already decided you are guilty, you are not communicating, you are submitting. The moment you begin your defense, you accept their frame, that they have the authority to judge you, that their verdict requires your response, that you owe them an account of your actions. The innocent explain because they believe facts will correct perception. The guilty over-explain to manufacture credibility, and the observer cannot tell the difference between the two. All they see is a person who needed to explain, and explanation implies that there was something to explain. You are in a meeting, someone suggests that you failed to deliver, that you missed a commitment, that you handled something poorly, that your performance on a specific project fell short. You know it is inaccurate. Your heart rate spikes immediately. You feel the urgency of correction as a physical pressure. You open your mouth. You begin laying out the timeline, the communications, the specific decisions and the reasons behind them. You produce evidence. You reference dates and conversations and outcome. And as you speak, you watch their faces. They are not becoming convinced. They are becoming still. The more detail you add, the more they believe you are managing their perception rather than correcting a factual error. By the time you finish, you have spent more energy defending the accusation than the accusation deserved, and that expenditure itself has become evidence that the accusation was accurate. You walked in accused of one thing. You walked out having confirmed it. This is called presumption permanence, the documented psychological reality that once a person has formed a negative judgment, any attempt to defend against it is processed not as corrective information, but as confirmation of guilt. Their conclusion was formed before your evidence arrived. Your evidence is therefore not heard as evidence. It is heard as the performance of someone who knows they were caught. In 1513, Niccolo Machiavelli was arrested and charged with conspiracy against the Medici family in Florence. He had done nothing. He had documentation. He had witnesses. He had a career of documented loyalty. He said almost nothing in his own defense. He wrote one letter from the Bargello prison. Not a defense, not an explanation, simply a statement of continued existence. I have not written to you to complain. I have written to inform you that I am still here. 6 weeks later, the political winds shifted, and he was released. Not because he proved his innocence, because he refused to perform the theater of it. The correction is the hardest of the 6 because it requires you to override the most deeply installed reflex you carry. When you are wrongfully accused, you say 3 words. That is interesting. Then you stop. You give them nothing. No explanation, no defense, no evidence, no timeline. The person who wants the truth will ask a follow-up question. The person who wants submission will escalate. When they escalate against your silence, you will see exactly who is standing in front of you, and you will have given them nothing to use. Your silence is not admission. It is the refusal to step onto a battlefield they designed specifically for you. The previous 3 situations are visible conflicts. Someone is across from you. The stakes are announced. The friction is felt. The next situation looks nothing like conflict. It looks like support. It looks like your organization caring about your development, and it has destroyed more careers than any open confrontation ever could. Situation 4. During performance reviews or feedback sessions, the performance review is the most effective intelligence-gathering tool your organization runs on you, not because it surfaces your work, because it surfaces your psychology. In a review, your manager is not just assessing your performance, they are assessing your response to assessment. They are measuring whether you accept criticism calmly or whether you fracture under it. They are determining whether your emotional stability is sufficient for higher pressure or whether you require management through your feelings. Every visible reaction you produce in a review is a data point about how manageable you are, and the person who needs to manage you is taking notes. Your manager delivers feedback. Some of it is accurate, some of it is exaggerated, some of it is entirely manufactured. A political setup delivered in the language of professional development. You feel your chest tighten at the accurate part. You feel your face flush at the exaggerated part. You feel the specific hot shame of injustice at the manufactured part. You open your mouth. Your voice carries a slight tremor that you cannot prevent. You say, "I do not think that is entirely accurate." The words are measured. The delivery betrays you. The tremor communicates that your emotional state is dependent on this person's assessment of you. The room now knows that you can be destabilized through criticism. The review continues. Every subsequent piece of feedback is filtered through the lens of your reaction to the first piece. You leave the room having confirmed to your organization that you need to be handled carefully. The mechanism here is called emotional tax, the specific cost that visible reaction in hierarchical environments levies against your professional position. The person who cannot receive negative feedback without reacting is the person who will never be trusted with higher stakes, not because they are incompetent, but because they have demonstrated that their stability depends on external approval. Organizations do not promote people whose emotional equilibrium requires constant management. Showing distress during a review is like taking a polygraph test and sweating at the first question. The sweat does not tell them anything specific, it tells them everything general. The correction is cold and precise. You listen, you take notes, you allow your face to communicate one thing only, that you are receiving information and processing it, not agreeing with it, not rejecting it, processing it. When they finish, you say, "Thank you for the feedback, I will reflect on it." Then you leave. Later, after the emotional temperature has dropped, you address each point strategically. The accurate ones, you make the correction publicly visible. The exaggerated ones, you document them and let your work answer them. The manufactured ones, you file them. You say nothing now, because now is when they are watching. The person who cannot be destabilized through criticism is the person who cannot be managed through emotional pressure. And the person who cannot be managed through emotional pressure is the person the organization eventually stops trying to manage and starts trying to keep. The first 4 situations involve environments where the stakes are visible: money, reputation, position, career. The next situation operates in a different territory entirely. The next situation is built from love. It is deployed by the people closest to you, and it is the most precise form of control you will ever experience because it uses what you feel about them as the weapon. Situation 5. When a manipulator uses guilt or obligation against you, the manipulator does not need to threaten you. They need only to know which emotions make you move. Guilt, obligation, the fear of being seen as selfish, the specific weight of owing someone who has kept a detailed ledger of every favor they have ever done for you and who presents that ledger precisely when your compliance costs you the most. Every time you show visible distress when they pull one of these levers, you confirm 2 things simultaneously: the lever works and the lever is worth pulling again. You are not being manipulated. You are training them to keep manipulating you. A phone call, a family member, a partner, a close friend. They need something: money, time, energy, a decision made in their favor rather than yours. You hesitate. They can hear the hesitation in your breathing. They escalate. They remind you of what they have sacrificed. They reference a moment of weakness you shared with them once, in trust, in a conversation you thought was private, and they use it to demonstrate that you owe them this compliance as a debt of loyalty. You feel the guilt rise in your chest like a physical pressure. You feel the specific exhaustion of wanting to say no and not being able to hold it against the weight of their performance. You say yes. You hang up and feel the specific shame of a man who knows exactly what happened and did it anyway. The person on the other end of the call learned something from this interaction. The guilt lever still works. The specific trigger is still active, and the specific escalation that converted your hesitation into compliance has been noted and filed for next time. This is called emotional blackmail, the systematic use of fear, obligation, and guilt to override another person's autonomous decision-making. Susan forward. documented this pattern with clinical precision. The blackmailer does not need direct control. They need only to activate the emotional response that produces compliance, and they can only activate that response if you show them it is available. Your visible distress is not a side effect of their manipulation, it is the mechanism of it. The moment your face shows that the guilt has landed, the manipulation is complete. Everything after that is administration. Defending yourself against a guilt manipulator is like trying to plug a leak with your bare hands. The harder you press, the more they can feel the pressure, and the more they know exactly where to direct the next application of force. The correction is absolute. When someone attempts guilt or obligation as a lever, you feel nothing on your face, not coldness, not distance, nothing. You do not sigh, you do not hesitate audibly. You do not allow your body to communicate the weight that is actually present. You say, I understand what you need. I am not able to provide it. No explanation, no justification, no apology. The lever is pulled, nothing moves. It is pulled again, nothing. Over time, not immediately, but over time, the lever stops being pulled, not because they stopped wanting to control you, because the lever is broken, and a broken lever is not worth the effort of pulling. Your neutral expression is not cruelty. It is the end of their power over you. Every situation you have learned so far involves a specific adversary, a negotiating counterpart, a provocateur, an accuser, a reviewer, a manipulator. There is always someone across from you running the mechanism. The final situation removes the adversary entirely. The final situation is about the specific moment when everyone in your environment is looking at you, not to attack you, not to test you, not to manipulate you, but to determine how afraid they should be. This is the situation that either installs you as the person people organize around or exposes you as someone who accelerates the chaos. And the difference between those two outcomes is decided entirely by your face. Situation 6. In a crisis or emergency, in front of people who are watching. In a crisis, your fear is more contagious than the threat. When something goes wrong in an environment where people are watching you, your emotional state becomes the group's emotional state faster than any information does. Before anyone has assessed the actual danger, before anyone has determined the actual cost, before anyone has formed an independent judgment, they have looked at your face, and your face has already told them what to feel. The person who shows visible fear in a crisis does not become someone who shared an honest human reaction. They become the reason the group panicked. They become the data point that converted a manageable situation into a catastrophe. Something goes wrong. A professional failure that becomes public before you have had time to address it. A sudden threat in a shared environment. A decision that needs to be made in 30 seconds with incomplete information and everyone watching. The specific feeling of your heart accelerating. The breath that shortens. The eyes that widen involuntarily. People are looking at you, not because you caused the crisis, because you are present, because the human brain, under threat, immediately scans the most visible people in the environment for emotional information, because your face is the fastest available data source about how dangerous this situation actually is. Your face says, this is worse than you think. And that single transmission travels through the room faster than any announcement. People who were managing become people who are panicking. A situation that was manageable becomes unmanageable, not because the threat escalated, but because the visible fear created a second crisis on top of the first one. This is called emotional contagion, the automatic, unconscious transfer of emotional state from one person to another through facial expression, tone, and body language. Documented across decades of social psychology research, emotional contagion operates below the level of conscious awareness. The observer does not decide to adopt your emotional state. They catch it before the decision is possible. In 1972, a research team studying flight crew behavior under simulated emergency conditions documented a specific pattern across multiple simulations. The outcome of the emergency, whether the simulated crew successfully managed the crisis or made it worse, was predicted with remarkable accuracy, not by the technical competence of the crew, but by the visible emotional state of the most senior person in the cabin in the first 60 seconds. When the senior crew member showed visible distress, error rates in the crew doubled. When the senior crew member showed composure, error rates dropped significantly, regardless of what was said, regardless of what instructions were given. The calm face did not solve the problem. The calm face prevented the group from creating a second one. The correction is not an attitude, it is a physical practice. You slow your breathing before your face needs to slow. You consciously relax your jaw, your forehead, your shoulders. You lower the pitch of your voice. You reduce the speed of your movements. You do not run. You do not shout. You do not freeze. You become the still point around which the chaos organizes. People will look at your face and read, "This is difficult but manageable," and when they believe that, they act accordingly. The crisis does not get easier, but the people around you stop making it worse. And in many crises, stopping the escalation is the difference between damage and catastrophe. Your calm in a crisis is not for you. It is for everyone who needs to see that someone is in control so that they can be in control of themselves. Now step back and look at all 6 together. High-stakes negotiations, provocation tests, false accusations, performance reviews, guilt manipulation, crisis leadership. 6 different environments, 6 different adversaries, 6 different costs, one single mechanism running beneath all of them. Every situation on this list has one structural feature in common. In every one of them, someone in your environment needs emotional data from you to determine how to proceed. In the negotiation, they need your reaction to calibrate their offer. In the provocation, they need your reaction to locate your threshold. In the accusation, they need your defense to confirm their conclusion. In the review, they need your distress to assess your manageability. In the guilt manipulation, they need your visible struggle to confirm the lever's effectiveness. In the crisis, the group needs your fear to justify its own. In every one of these 6 situations, you are the primary source of the intelligence being used against you. You have been treating emotional transparency as a virtue. In these 6 environments, it is not. It is the specific mechanism by which the people who need to control you calibrate exactly how to do it. The man who cannot be read cannot be exploited. Not because he is smarter, not because he is more prepared, because he refuses to file the report. Machiavelli spent his career inside the environments where this mechanism operated at its highest stakes. Courts where visible emotion could cost you your position. Rooms where a single readable expression could cost you your life. He did not survive those environments through luck or through superior intelligence. He survived them through the specific discipline of keeping his interior completely inaccessible to the people watching him. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few touch what you really are." He meant that your visible self, your face, your tone, your reactions, is the version of you that the world operates on, and that version is either yours to control or theirs to read. There is no middle position. The choice is not whether people will try to read you, it is whether they will succeed. 6 situations. Every man watching has already been in most of them. The question is not whether you will be in them again. The question is whether you will walk into the next one with a face that tells them nothing. If this video reached something real, if you felt the specific discomfort of recognizing yourself in the situations just named, hit the like button. Not as a courtesy, as a signal to yourself that you are done being readable. Subscribe if this level of precision is what you want consistently. If you want access to the complete operational framework, the specific drills for building facial neutrality under pressure, the psychological mechanism behind micro-expression suppression, and why standard composure training does not reach it, and the advanced protocols for reading other people's emotional leakage while producing none of your own, click the join button below. The content behind that button is not an extension of this video, it is the layer underneath it. The techniques that this platform will not allow in public formats, because they move beyond awareness into deliberate social operation, and deliberate social operation, at this level of specificity, is the kind of content that makes certain institutions uncomfortable. Most people closed this video the moment the first situation accurately described a specific room they had been in. You stayed through all 6. That is not discipline for its own sake. That is the specific quality of a man who prefers accurate maps over comfortable ones. The next negotiation is coming. The next provocation is coming. The next accusation. The next review. The next guilt manipulation. The next crisis. They are all coming. They were always coming. The only thing that changes today is what your face will do when they arrive. Keep it still. Keep it yours. Give them nothing to work with. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.